WBO #1 fighting WBO #2. It's all on the line. The winner of this fight will become the mandatory challenger to Usyk.
I'm on the way to be heavyweight champion of the world. You're getting knocked out.
A lot of people think he's invincible.
This is the Juggernaut doing what the Juggernaut does.
I'll box the hair off you.
Little Joe's gonna tickle me.
Have you ever been champion?
No, not yet.
Shut your mouth.
You've been to the top of the mountain.
Joe, we're coming. I'm gonna smash your face in.
You're on the way down.
Can he get past the Juggernaut? This is heavyweight boxing at its best.
Welcome to Manchester and welcome to the last stop on the road to Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker, which of course is taking place tomorrow night in the AO Arena here in Manchester. I am joined by a man who knows this city very, very well. Two-weight, former world champion, Carl Terrible start from me. Carl Frampton, how are you doing?
Up in cold wars, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed by the magnitude of the occasion and, you know, your star power.
Of course.
How are you?
I'm all right, yeah. I'm genuinely looking forward to, I think, is what's going to be a fantastic night of boxing. The main fight, obviously, unbelievable fight. I think can't be anything but a good fight, but the undercard as well, so many good match fights on that. Yeah, it's a very strong undercard. I think we've got it on screen in a second. We had the press conference yesterday as well, and it's a busy night of action here in Manchester. Raven Chapman facing off against former world champion Georgina Guanini. Mark Heffron taking on Martin Balacho, a man you know very well. Is also going to be on the card Anthony Cacace later on against Michael Magnesi. Iko Esiman and Samuel Antwi are facing off for the British IBF European and Commonwealth Welterweight Championship. Nathan Heaney, a man who's always very, very popular and sells a lot of tickets, is facing off against Jack Flatley, and a big name addition, a late addition, Amanda Serrano, who came into this card, a global star, a huge star in women's boxing, facing off against Sarah Mafu for the IBF title, which she can add to the collection there if she wins. And then, of course, the main event, Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker. We'll talk obviously about the main event at length, but in that undercard there, what stands out to you? I think there's a lot of well-matched fights. Genuinely think that. I think there's fights that are difficult and tough to call. But Magnesi and Cacace, I think, is a cracking fight. I know Anto Cacace personally. I know how hard he can punch. Dangerous puncher. Magnesi is a shorter, stockier, come forward, non-stop type fighter, pressure fighter. I think that has the ingredients to be a fantastic fight.
I think the addition of Serrano and Mafu on the card has really excited a lot of people in the boxing world. I think it adds a few eyes, particularly for the global audience, to this one, doesn't it?
Serrano's got star power, really does, and to be honest, I'm excited about seeing her. I've seen her, I've watched her on TV, obviously, but I've never seen her in the flesh, so this will be my first time witnessing a female great really. What she's done has been unbelievable, like from going, literally no one can do it apart from Serrano, where she goes through the divisions and cleans up, back up and back down. Fantastic fighter.
And good to see Raven Chapman on the card as well. At the press conference yesterday, the undercard press conference yesterday, she was saying that Serrano is a hero of hers and has said they're going to go out for a cheeky Nando's later.
Cheeky Nando's. Nando's is overrated, I think. I don't know if I'm getting into trouble here like with Nando's, but I mean, it's chicken and chips, isn't it?
Yeah, other spicy chicken joints are available, of course. So Joyce and Parker, this one we've known it's been coming for a while. The build-up started a little while ago, and you actually hosted a face-off between the two of them. We'll see a clip from that in a minute. There's obviously respect there. There's no animosity at all, but the stakes and the pressure are very, very high. Yeah,
of course, very high for both guys. I think that the winner of this fight is in line to fight Usyk, or the winner of Fury AJ if that fight does get made. So, everything's on the line here for both guys. I think the loser kind of goes to the back of the queue again. It's going to take a bit of a rebuilding process to get back into the mix. But I thought the head-to-head, I was going to have to work really hard. I thought that these two guys are obviously very nice to each other, a lot of respect. But I sat down, I hadn't even asked a question, and there's already a little bit of needle. So I think there's respect there, but there's definitely a wee bit of animosity as well.
All right, well, we've just spoken about it. Let's take a look from the clip of that face-off between Joe Joyce and Joseph Parker.
It's a fight I wanted. It's the best fight out there, I think. He's got a good style that is exciting to see, and it's it's at top level, elite level.
I do respect him as a fighter and a tough competitor, like ranked #1 in WBO, #2 in WBC. And I'm right there with him, and I think this is the best fight out there, and that's the reason why we're here to make this fight happen.
What is this man's major strength and what are his big weaknesses?
So he's got height, reach, and he's got power. And he's got a very, very good engine.
Can he be broke down? Can he be?
He can be broken down. Everyone can be broken down. If you have the right game plan, everyone can be broken down. It's not one shot. I'm going to damage you with a lot of shots. Punches and bunches. That's what I need to do. Break him down.
Yeah.
Step by step, round by round.
Okay, thanks.
You've been a world champion. You've been at the top of the hill. But what is your motivation, Joe? To get there, to become a world champion?
Yeah, of course, I'm on the way up, and this is my long-term goal to be heavyweight champion of the world, and I'm very close to it, and I've got this man standing in my way.
It's clear to see there's a lot of respect between both you guys. I want you to look at each other in the eye and tell each other who wins this fight and how. And I'm going to ask you first.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to win this fight. I'm going to beat you up.
Yeah, you're going to try and do that, but I'm going to beat you up more, hit you more, and just take you out on points or however.
Did you say on points?
Anyway, but I prefer to knock you out.
Wow, nice jacket, Carl.
I do have other jackets. I knew you were going to say that. Flip me.
Yeah, looked pretty warm in there as well.
The lights were blinding me. I remember asking them to turn the lights down, and I was squinting the whole time, but I don't think people were too worried about me. They were listening to what the boys had to say.
It was interesting because the two of them, like we mentioned earlier, they're not outspoken, they're not loud, they're not in your face, but the intensity and the ambition to step up to the next level in the heavyweight division, it really shows every time you see them talking.
Yeah. No, listen, these two guys, I think they deserve a lot of credit because they could just kind of sit and wait on the sidelines, and Joyce could have another opponent, kind of Hammer-esque opponent, that sort of level again, and just wait because he's in line to fight one of the top boys, as is Joseph Parker. But you have to give them so much credit that they're fighting each other. There's a lot on the line. As I said, the loser kind of goes a few steps back, and the winner just puts himself right in the mix for a massive, massive fight.
It's very 50-50. Every time I see it posted online, people doing Twitter polls saying, who do you think is going to win, or reply to this tweet, who do you think is going to win? The replies are always completely even. I think everyone's got their own reasons for thinking one guy's going to win or the other. What way do you see it?
I don't know who's going to win the fight, and I think that I suppose that makes it a good fight, an interesting fight. I don't think it can be a boring fight. Just with Joe Joyce's style, I don't think any fight can ever be boring because he's going to make you're going to have to work really hard to get a win over him because he just walks forward. He soaks up shots. There's no reaction when he gets nailed by what probably feels like on your hand one of the biggest shots you've ever landed, and there's no effect. It's got to be a wee bit. It's just, I don't know how you deal with that when you're nailing someone. You know, as a boxer, when you nail someone clean, it feels good. It's got to be a wee bit deflating when there's literally no reaction. I think it'll be a fight of two halves, though. I think that Parker will win the first half. I think that Joyce will win the second half. I don't think anyone's getting stopped. I think it could be a draw. Genuinely, it's going to be very, very close. I don't know what's going to happen.
It's interesting as well because Parker's obviously been to the top of the mountain and then come back down and started again. Whereas Jojo, as you mentioned, he's just kind of stuck with that style the entire time. He's always known his identity as a fighter, whereas perhaps Joseph Parker, in his new camp with Andy Lee, the third fight now under Andy Lee, is sort of learning how to be himself a little bit more. And before, I think he almost just found himself as world champion. Yeah. Whereas now he's having to fight for that opportunity again.
Yeah, no, I think he's made the right move in teaming up with Andy Lee, and obviously he's surrounded by the Furies as well, and Tyson will be a massive influence on Joseph Parker's career. Andy Lee, though, in particular, I think in this game and in this day and age, I think there's a lot of trainers who are, they're good pad men, but they're maybe not the best trainers in the world. And I think there's only a select few of very, very good trainers worldwide in the pro game. More bad ones than good ones. I think Andy Lee is one of the good ones. I think he's a teacher and he's full of wisdom. Andy's, I don't know what age he is, I'm guessing he's like early 40s, something like that. But full of wisdom. He knows the game inside out, and I think he'll be one of the most sought after trainers in world boxing very, very soon. I think he's been a very important addition to Joseph Parker's camp.
I'm interested to see what Parker weighs in at as well, because he was down at 236 pounds for the Joshua fight. when he fought Junior Farr, 240 pounds, slightly heavier at 241 for Chisora, and then went up. And that was the first proper long count with Andy Lee. Went up to 251. I wonder if they're trying to put that weight on him and put a bit more power into it.
Well, maybe. It'll just be interesting to see what he weighs in at today. He may weigh heavier than 251. I think Joyce, you can't. It's a difficult one because you're going to have to move in the fight. So movement, and you want to move. Surely, being a bit lighter is better. But at some point, he's going to have to stand and fight as well. So it's a difficult one. I think we can learn a lot about how Parker's going to fight by what weight he weighs in at here.
Joe Joyce's weight somewhat more consistent, 258, 263.75 and 265 in his last 3 fights. Again, as we just mentioned, he sort of knows what he is and he knows how to fight. You have to adapt though as you go on through your career. 37 years old now. Is it time for him to change anything up?
I don't think he can. I think that obviously there's no fighter is the perfect fighter, but Joe is far from the perfect fighter. He gets nailed way too clean. His feet and his hands aren't the fastest, but is something that no one else has, and that's just that relentless ability to soak up punishment and keep walking forward. And so fit. I remember training alongside Joe when I was a world champion at the time, and he was a 3-round amateur, and he was fitter than me. He was able, I was coming into camp and doing 6 rounds in the pads. Joe was doing 12, getting ready for 3-round fights. He's a machine, absolute machine. And that interesting fact, I've talked about this loads of times, but the bone density fact that Joe's kind of put out there, 5 times the average or the normal bone density of a normal man. Like, I don't know, but what they told me was, if you dropped Joe Joyce out of a 2-story window, he would walk away unscathed.
Yeah, and the concrete underneath probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it'd be dented and cracked and everything else. But do you know what? It sounds about right. He's a beast, absolute beast.
All right. Well, obviously we are in the last event of Fight Week here. We caught up with Joe and other Joe at the media workout this week. So let's see how they're feeling then.
No matter what training you do, sparring, strength work, nothing beats the feeling of walking onto the ring and fighting in the ring in front of a big crowd, and so this event and what's at stake, number 1 and number 2 in the WBO, that excites me, and the camp has been great. I've had great sparring, I've eaten clean, I've trained hard with Andy. Tyson's come on runs and he's very positive, brings that good energy into camp. Now that we're in the finishing stages of camp and into the fight, tapering off, I've got my brother here, my parents here, the whole team from New Zealand, so I'm feeling the support, feeling the love, and I am ready to go.
I'm really excited for this one. Joe looks ready. I see him in the ring just there, and it's going to be a really tough fight. I expect him to be technical, good head movement, like footwork, and especially working with Andy Lee, who talks very highly of him, and thinks he's going to walk the floor with me. But
did that bother you?
Nah, but we'll find out Saturday night, won't we?
I feel like I am hitting the prime of my career. I've been in the game for a long time, and I've achieved some good things in boxing, become world champion, but I have a lot more to give, and I have a lot more to show, and a lot more to achieve, and I'm going to go out there and do it.
Have you got the enormous PC setup sorted in the room yet?
Yeah. As soon as I check in my room, I was just like put my setup. Oh, where I'm going to put the second monitor, and just plug everything in, like the routine, and then unpack my bags and like.
Yeah, and then obviously focus on the boxing and definitely not stand up to 4 a.m. playing whatever you're playing.
Definitely not 4 a.m. maybe 5 or 6. Yeah.
Joe Joyce, they're one of the most chilled out men on the planet. Both of them are, to be fair. How was fight week for you? Because you see some fighters get sort of really built up, and I think back to sort of the Deontay Wilder fight weeks where you go near him for an interview and you're generally terrified of him, whereas these two have been friendly all week. Was it a stressful week for you?
No, not really. Certainly in the latter part of my career it wasn't stressful. I used to be relaxed. I didn't like to train on fight week if I didn't have to. Obviously sometimes you have to if you're struggling to make the weight, but I used to walk everywhere. I used to do a load of walking, wasn't eating very much, and with that you can get a little bit cranky, but I like to chill. I like to be around people. I like to have cups of tea and sit with the team, sit with my family, go and visit my family as well, but pretty relaxing for me.
Yeah, I mean, getting this part out of the way must have been big though.
That's it, and that's what people, these guys will be okay because they're heavyweights, but anyone other than a heavyweight, for the most anyway, you're struggling to make the weight. So the first battle is the weigh-in. These guys have been thinking and that's what I think about. So I think about the weigh-in, and then I start to think about the fight. It's almost like you're getting ready for two different occasions. But these guys are different because they can weigh in whatever they want. It doesn't really matter. So, yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see what the weigh-in. And I think that, like I said earlier on, we'll be able to tell a lot about how Parker certainly is going to fight by what weight he is.
How high do you think the ceiling is for these guys now? Because Joe Joyce obviously started the pro game so late and people have talked about it so much. But his potential seems to be limitless, because every time he gets given one of these obstacles, every big step up, he seems to just roll through. And there's a number of fights you can think of where you think, wow, that might have been tough for Joe Joyce. And then he wins kind of convincingly, and afterwards you say, well, of course he won. The Dubois fight, he was actually the bookie's underdog.
Yeah.
And then he won it kind of relatively very convincingly.
Yeah.
And you think afterwards, well, yeah, of course he won. How good can he be?
I think he can be very good. I think he is very good right now, and I think that he gives any heavyweight on the planet a hard night. Anyone. We've seen him against Usyk in the WSB over 5 rounds, and he pushed him reasonably close. He gives them all a hard night, but I don't think he can improve much. I think what we've seen from fight 1 to 14 has been pretty much the same. I think that's what we're going to get from Joe Joyce. We know what they expect. Come forward, take a bit of punishment himself, and give a bit out, and hopefully get the win. But I think he's an exciting fighter because he makes the opponent work hard.
And the same for Parker, who's only 30 years old, which seems crazy because he's been around for so long. That world title reign was years ago. Now, he seems happier in his career than he's ever been. And he mentioned that interview there, that he lost a bit of passion for boxing during the world title reign and afterwards. And now he's enjoying it again, he's excited about it again. Is there a level that he can reach that we haven't even seen yet?
I think he could be better than what he has been, and what he has been a world champion, and a good world champion. And I think, like I said earlier on, linking up with Andy Lee is going to be very important to his career. I think that just the association with Tyson Fury as well, and being around Team Fury, is important for Joseph Parker as well. I'm surprised to hear. I didn't realise he's only 30. That's, in terms of heavyweight, that's pretty young. So you've got the other guy on the other hand who's had less fights, but he's 37. It's a bit of an interesting dynamic about the fight, but I still think that this guy could be better than anything we've seen of him yet.
Yeah, a lot of the talk has been about that phrase, miles on the clock. Joe Joyce, less pro fights, but long amateur career and older. Joseph Parker, a long professional career. How big of a factor is that? When do you start to feel those? Was there ever a moment in your career where you start to think, oh, yeah, I've got miles on the clock?
Yeah, look, well, towards the end of my career, genuinely, and this may sound like a joke, but I'm struggling to put my socks on in the morning, and I'm getting ready to fight someone that night or spar someone. So there was a point where, and you try to tell yourself that it's okay. It's a bit of a blip. You'll be okay. The Darren Trainer fight for me was probably one where I should have, I won the fight and I was winning the fight, but didn't look great. Rather than putting it down to me being over the hill, I was trying to say, no atmosphere. I was in an empty hall and late opponent. I was heavier than I was meant to be. Using all the excuses under the world, but there is a stage where you have to kind of make a judgment call yourself, and I suppose it's important to have good people around you as well, and that's when you'll know to call it a day. But both these guys have plenty of years left, and as a heavyweight you can always go on a little bit longer. Yeah,
it's just funny that Parker feels so rejuvenated recently. It makes me think, is it in training camps that you feel the miles on the clock, or is it in the fight? Do you feel in the fight, oh, I don't feel as good as I used to, or is it in the training camps?
Well, for me, I think it was, for me, the fight and the fight against Jamel Hurry, my last fight. I had a great training camp. I was sparring Anto Kakachi, who's on this bill, Alex Dilmajani, good fighters, and I was very, very happy with how the sparring went. But I sat down on my stool at the end of the first round and started to think this is going to be a really hard night. So for me, it was on the fight, and I found out that I just didn't have what I used to have. But I think what Parker's saying, I think it's real, that it's clear that he has the passion back, And without using a cliche, and he seems happy. He does seem happy in this camp. A happy fighter, I hate this because it's said over and over, but a happy fighter can be a dangerous fighter.
Where do you think each fighter could go after a loss? If Parker wins, there's a rematch, we know that, but what does it mean for the career, a loss for each guy?
Look, it knocks him back a few rungs down the ladder. Joe Joyce, I think, if he loses, there's a potential fight with Dubois. That's still on the cards, but I think Joe will struggle to get fights if he loses. Who wants to fight that guy? Who wants to fight the guy that can soak up all the punishment in the world and is like the fittest heavyweight on the planet? Who wants to fight him? Unless you're forced to fight him, you try and stay away from him. And that's why Joseph Parker deserves credit, because he wasn't forced to fight him. But he's here and he's fighting him. Great fight.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the talk has been about this week, is credit to both fighters for taking an incredibly risky, incredibly dangerous fight. And the more you see of it in any division, particularly the heavyweights, right, because it is the one that gets the most mainstream attention.
Yeah.
The more you see it, the better boxing is for it.
Absolutely. I think what's got to be mentioned as well is the fact that we've got two supposed rival channels, different fighters boxing on BT, but we've got a fighter from Boxer, from Sky fighting here. I think that's really important, and the more we see that happening, we're going to get bigger fights. It's just politics in this game always get in the way, but it's worked out for this one, and it's a massive fight.
Yeah, a bit of a side note, but the politics thing, you look at like the Fury Joshua fight, obviously all of us have got our fingers crossed hoping that happens, but this just goes to show, isn't it, that
it can work.
Different promoters, different networks, they can come together and make it happen.
Yeah, and it can work, and I suppose that's an example of it. There's been other examples in the past, but this is a big fight against heavyweights, so it can certainly work, and hopefully we do see the Fury and AJ fight. What a monster fight that is, though.
Yeah. It feels like it's happened more and more in the last couple of years. I don't know if something happened over lockdown maybe that forced a few more fights to happen, but it does feel like a lot of these fights, I don't know, as a boxing fan, I thought for years I'd almost given up.
Yeah,
I thought, well, it's never going to happen, but it feels like a few of them are closer now.
And I don't know the exact reason, but the fans and the support have been pretty outspoken on it, and they want these kind of cross-promotional and cross-platform events to take place for the best to fight the best, really, and we're seeing it happen more and more regularly. Hopefully it continues to happen.
A word on Manchester as a venue. Loads of the fighters we've spoken to this week are really excited about fighting in the Manchester Arena, the AO Arena now. You have obviously fought there as well. Was that ever a thing for you? It's always seen as the home of huge nights in British boxing.
Yeah.
York Hall is obviously called the home of British boxing, but Manchester Arena feels like the big nights, and British boxing often end up there.
Look, it was a big night for me to fight here, and I boxed in front of capacity crowds twice, at a win and a loss. To be honest, it wasn't. Being from Belfast and where I'm from, I'm not craving to box in the MEM, but when you get the chance to box here, it's a venue with a lot of history. There's been a lot of great fights here. It was obviously Ricky Hatton's venue, at one point, and he had so many big fights. The Costa Zoo one in particular was a huge night, but I wasn't, as a Belfast boy, crying out for a fight in Manchester.
No, but you still enjoy. I remember the night.
No, I enjoyed it. Of course, I enjoyed it.
Leeds versus Belfast in Manchester.
That was good.
The noise.
Was good. Yeah, unbelievable atmosphere. The Quigg fight, unbelievable atmosphere. The fight wasn't the best, if I'm being honest, but the atmosphere was good at most of my fights. But in here, in the MEN, not the MEN, the AO, it was fantastic.
So, talking again about the heavyweight division, Joyce and Parker. It's kind of like it is literally the qualifier in rankings terms, but we know that boxing isn't that simple. It feels like the entry to the top tier of the heavyweights, something that's been occupied Fury, Wilder, Usyk, AJ for the last however many years.
Yeah.
Do you think there's like a next generation, a next step of fighters that are ready to take that place?
Yeah, there is. You've got Joyce, Parker underneath. You've got Ruiz with a good win there against Ortiz. He's been a former world champion as well. You've got guys coming through, and it's important to have that, but I think at the minute, although Usyk has most of the belts, we all think that Fury is the top dog, just with how he dealt with Deontay Wilder. But there's it's important to have a crop of talented fighters coming through, and we've got that, so we're lucky. Joe Joyce, not the youngest guy in the world, as we've said, but still kind of seen as one of the kind of, almost you can be seen as an up-and-coming heavyweight at 37, which is strange, but that's the way it is.
And we saw Dillian Whyte against Fury recently in April. You mentioned Dubois. That looks like a great fight that could happen somewhere down the line. That would be a really, really interesting one. And then Dubois against these guys. We've seen the Joyce fight before, but I'm sure he wants redemption. The fight against Parker would be great. It feels like there's a crop of really interesting fights waiting to happen.
all bubbling under the surface, and all these guys are looking to get in the mix of the top 3. They all want to get back in there. Deontay Wilder as well, we've forgotten about him. He wants to put his name amongst it as well. And you know, we've got the 3 guys that we all know about: Usyk, Fury, AJ. They're the top 3. Everyone else is bubbling and kind of hoping and wishing for a fight with any one of them names, because they're monstrous fights and they earn a lot of money.
Do you see Fury as the best?
Yeah, and I think most people do. I think Usyk gives him a difficult fight, gives him a hard fight, but I think size may be the defining factor in that fight, and I think Fury's just a bit too big.
He's obviously been in that Parker camp, as we mentioned earlier. How much of an impact does having someone in your camp have? Did you ever have someone come into your camp that just changed the way you saw a certain thing about boxing?
I don't know. I suppose being in the camp in Manchester with the boys, it's similar to Joseph Parker. Similar to him was I was enjoying it again. I was a world champion in a sport that I didn't really like. I just wasn't enjoying it. I hated being away from my family. I was around people who weren't similar to me, didn't have a similar background to me, and when I moved to Manchester, things got much better for me. I think that mentally I was better, but when I got there as well, I was probably physically on the way down, but I enjoyed that part of my career, and for me that was really, really important. And I think that Parker, only being 30, has got this new hunger for it. He's around good people, knowledgeable people. I think he can be very, very dangerous.
Do you think that's a thing that's pretty regular in sport, reaching the top and then struggling to still motivate yourself? Parker mentioned it. Fury's obviously mentioned it many times. You just mentioned it there.
Yeah, you have some people, but then there's a list of people who have been at the top and stayed at the top. Ronaldo, Messi, Nadal.
Two of my favourite boxers of all time.
But we're talking about all other sports. You can stay at the top, and I think that I think people can stay there. I think they can stay there. Obviously, it's always, things can become a bit easier when you're a champion and you've reached that. If that was the goal, and you know, things could maybe go downhill and you don't make new goals. But I think coming over here and basing himself in England, away from family, who are a big motivational factor for him, being around good people, I think it's very, very important.
Well, both fighters go away for their camps as well. Joe Joyce always goes to Vegas. Yeah. Joe Parker comes all the way to Morecambe from New Zealand, not the most usual route to a camp. Is that a thing, you know, in terms of concentration and getting away from everything? Is that something you hear quite a lot? People wanting to be away for camps to concentrate?
I always done it throughout my career. Look, I'm a family man. I love to be at home with my wife and kids, but I think that just being away from home comforts is good. There's so many distractions at home, and even me, you know, someone who struggled with my weight at times, you know, eating the last couple of chips off the kids' plates and all, just stuff like that. It sounds trivial and simple, but I think it's just important to be away, where you can fully focus. Not necessarily in isolation. If you have people around you, that's good, as Parker does, as Joyce does when he goes to Las Vegas as well. But I think being away from home comforts is important, and I would always tell fighters to do that. You know, think of it as a young up and coming fighter as an investment. It's going to cost you money, but you're not blowing it. It's an investment, and hopefully you'll get the return back in your career.
Joyce going to Vegas as well opens so many doors for sparring as well. We saw a clip of him the other day sparring Takam, a former opponent of his, but that kind of quality sparring sometimes you have to travel for. Yeah, look,
around Vegas there's going to be so many top quality fighters in gyms, guys that you haven't even heard of, who maybe travel around gyms and they give you rounds. Endless amount of sparring for him out there. But Joseph Parker, you know, has got Tyson Fury. I'm sure they've done a little bit of sparring. He's got plenty of money as well, so I'm sure he's able to bring sparring in for anyone he would like, who he thinks fits the bill for a Joseph. I keep getting the names wrong. A Joe Joyce impersonator. Yeah, I think both guys will have about adequate sparring for this one. They will have had to as well.
I think Joe only got in last week. Does the time difference make a big difference? Like the jet lag, or I suppose by now it's all right.
They reckon that, I think, per hour difference a day, it takes you to get over it. So I don't know what the difference is, and I think it may be about 7 hours, something
8
like that.
hours to
8
Vegas,
hours from
yeah.
Vegas. So 8 days is probably enough. But I always like to be in. When I fought away from home, I like to be in a full month and just to get used to my surroundings. But Joe's done this before. He knows what he's doing. So a week's probably going to be enough for him.
Yeah, and clearly training in Vegas, not too bad.
That's not too bad. This time of year as well, still pretty hot. So, yeah, plenty of distractions out there as well. So if he's kept the head screwed on, yeah, it should be a very, very good fight.
Yeah, it's a testament to Joe. When he said that he was speaking to us with that interview we saw on Wednesday at the media workout, he's saying, yeah, there's things to distract me when I'm bored. And immediately in my head in Vegas thinks like, right, what is he about to say here?
Yeah.
And then sweet Joe Joyce, he just goes, yeah, there's lots of sporting events to watch and things.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I see where you're going now.
Yeah, there's plenty to do. You walk up, you have a day off and you're bored. You walk up and down the strip and you have a great laugh at some of the nuts. It's a mad place. But he knows what he wants to do. He's a dedicated fighter. He has been, even as an amateur, always really dedicated, and that's clear to see in his fitness and his conditioning all the time. And I think his fitness as well allows him to be able to take as much punishment as we've seen him taking before. So Joe Joyce will be extremely fit. Don't worry about him having trained in Vegas and all the distractions out there.
What would you plan out his next couple of fights? If Joe Joyce wins, we'll talk about Parker in a sec. Parker obviously has Joe Joyce next if he wins. But Joe Joyce, his next sort of 2 or 3 fights on the way to the title, how would you plan that out?
I would literally be looking to fight one of the top guys next. If he beats Joseph Parker, I would be looking to fight the winner of Fury and AJ if that comes off, or Usyk. Usyk might be the fight. He had a great fight with Usyk in the WSB, and if you get the chance, you should go back and watch that fight. It wasn't a one-sided beatdown, and although it's a different sport now, but 5 rounds in the WSB was kind of a professional feel about it. No head guards as well. I think that's what he chases, Joe Joyce, and he gives Usyk a very difficult fight. I'm not saying he beats him, but like I said, he gives every heavyweight on the planet a hard fight.
Do you think the gap between those top guys is getting smaller because of the top guys getting older, or do you think the guys underneath are getting better?
I suppose a little bit of both. I think Usyk can go on for years. When I was kind of coming up and doing my thing, I was on Paul McCluskey undercards. Some people may know Paul McCluskey, other people may not know him, but in Belfast he was a big name, and he was selling out the Odyssey Arena and the King's Hall. So I was always delighted to appear in his undercard. But this is a huge platform for up and coming guys, and it's a shop window for them as well. Important for undercard fighters to look good.
And we'll see him weighing in soon. But Anto Kakachi, you said you know him very well. He missed out on a huge night on the undercard just a few months ago. For him to be back out there, and I think he's such an exciting fighter. He's waiting for that moment to catch light, isn't he?
He just needs a break, Anto. He's not the youngest guy in the world anymore, but an incredibly talented fighter. Has been the most unluckiest fighter I've ever been around. for world honours.
Actually, while we mentioned it, Denzel Bentley, former opponent of Heffron, how exciting an opportunity is that?
Yeah, massive for him. Tough opportunity, but it's a kind of win-win for Denzel because, you know, a lot of people, no one's really expecting him to win. I'm sure he has confidence in himself that he can win the fight, but he goes in there and puts in a good performance and loses, maybe, then that's still a good situation to be in. People will know his name. You know, they'll maybe hear about Denzel Bentley more in America. He's fighting a Kazakh, I think he's from. They'll know about him around that part of the world as well, so a huge platform for him.
Iko Essuman, I know you've seen him a few times.
Yeah, I like
Essuman. In fact, I believe MC Thomas Treiber is ready to start the weigh-in. So we'll shut up a moment,
all right,
and then we'll come back. A few mic problems there. Good stuff. Always a nice way to start.
I'm sure people are excited listening to me and you waffling nonsense, but
absolutely, this is prime waffling time. So while Thomas gets his mic sorted, we'll continue to talk about Iko Essuman, who you saw fight a few times over the last few years. How exciting is he? How much potential he?
I think he's a very, very good fighter. Good fighter with a load of potential. Again, talking about the shop window, this is a huge opportunity for him to look good and to shine, and just to be recognised and be a bit more of a household name. And appearing on an undercard like this gives you the opportunity to do that. So, but he's a very, very capable fighter.
Yeah, and a great opportunity as well for Samuel Antwi with the British and Commonwealth welterweight titles on the line. It's on a night like this as well. We spoke about Kakachi needing something just to spark his career, get that attention, push him into the mainstream. It's all opportunities like this, and it's always difficult when you're the away fighter.
Yeah, look, I don't know much about Antwi, if I'm being honest. I have heard of the kid. I'm hearing that he's a decent fighter, but again, we're talking about opportunities here, and the British and Commonwealth title on the line. Very rarely do we have dull fights when a British and Commonwealth title are involved, and it's a huge opportunity for him to look good and make people, you know, sit up and take notice of his name.
Nathan Heaney versus Jack Flatley also on the card. Nathan Heaney, renowned ticket seller. I think he's got 1,600 tickets sold for this one, so there's going to be a lot of noise for that one. I love
Nathan Heaney. I love everything he brings to the table. Unbelievable atmosphere always when he fights.
All right, let's go back to Thomas Treiber.
For a great night of World Championship Boxing tomorrow at the AO Arena, Manchester. It is all being brought to you by Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry, along with their great sponsors, 32 Red, Foot Asylum, and Unibet. Well, this great event,
Tell you what, Carl, they need to borrow the mics for us.
Yeah, something's going on here. I don't know what's happening.
Here's the card again for everyone at home. So we're going to have weigh-ins now for Raven Chapman and Georgina Guinini, Mark Heffron, Martin Balacio, Iko Essuman, and Samuel Antwi, Michael McNasey, Anthony Kakachi, Nathan Heaney, Jack Flatley, Amanda Serrano, Sarah Mafu, and Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker, of course. Let's go back to Thomas Treiber.
We are going to begin the weigh-in process with two combatants competing tomorrow night in a scheduled 4-round international light heavyweight contest. We will first welcome to the scale from Croatia. He has a professional record consisting of 20 wins, 34 defeats, 2 draws, with 5 wins coming by way of knockout. Let's welcome to the scale, Tony Leeson. 204 pounds and 4 ounces for Tommy Fletcher. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, these two competing tomorrow night in a scheduled 4-round international light heavyweight contest.
Thanks, guys.
We continue the weigh-in process. Our next two combatants competing tomorrow night in a scheduled 4-round super lightweight contest. First, we will welcome to the scale from West Bromwich, West Midlands. He has 2 professional bouts to his credit. Let's welcome Carlo Wallace. 142 pounds and 4 ounces for Carlo Wallace. And now we welcome to the scale from Batley, Yorkshire. Undefeated with 3 victories, here is Amar the Prodigy Akbar. 143 pounds and 4 ounces for Amar Akbar. Our next two combatants to the scale competing tomorrow night in a scheduled 6-round middleweight contest. First to the scale from Bow, London. His professional record, 3 wins, 4 defeats. 1 of his 3 wins comes by way of knockout. Here is Rod Douglas Jr. 158 pounds and 6 ounces for Rod Douglas Jr. Now to the scale from Liverpool. Undefeated with 7 victories, here is James Hennigan. 162 pounds and 9 ounces for James Hennigan.
No face off, James. Out. No face off.
Our next two combatants to the scale competing tomorrow night in a scheduled 4-round super lightweight contest. First to the scale, coming to us from Nottingham. His professional record, 5 wins, 2 defeats. 2 of his 5 wins come by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Delmar Debo Thomas. 136 pounds, for Delmar Thomas. Next to the scale, from Kirkby, undefeated with 4 wins. One of his 4 wins comes by way of knockout. Here is Callum the Tank Thompson. 136 pounds for Callum Thompson. Our next 2 combatants to the scale competing tomorrow night in a scheduled 8-round international super middleweight contest. First to the scale from Sacanta, Córdoba, Argentina. His professional record, 10 wins, 6 defeats. 7 of his 10 wins come by way of knockout. Here is Martín Bulacio. $168 pounds for Martín Bulacio. Now to the scale, his opponent tomorrow night from Oldham, Lancashire, England. His professional record, 28 wins, just 2 defeats, 1 draw, 22 of his 28 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the current British, Commonwealth, and IBF Intercontinental Champion, Mark Kid Dynamite Heffron. £169 and 4 ounces for Mark Heffron.
Couple who made weight there.
Yeah, he's in good shape as well. Like, considering he was a middleweight, you're looking at him ripped up there above the super middleweight limit, thinking, how in God's name did you ever make middleweight? But a very, very good fighter, and I think it's linking up with Joe Gallagher and the team at Gallagher's gym is going to do him the world of good.
Always involved in exciting fights, isn't he? He's always had a
Marco,
very aggressive style.
Great fighter. I suppose maybe hasn't lived up to his full potential just yet, but by all accounts he's got the head screwed on now, and he's determined to do something with his career.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, these 2 competing tomorrow night in a scheduled 8-round international super middleweight contest.
Just went for the shorts, like
It's one of the all-time great battles between short shorts and tracksuit bottoms. It's one for the ages.
Our next 2 combatants to the scale competing tomorrow night in a scheduled 10-round contest. It will be for the IBO International Middleweight Championship. We will first welcome to the scale the challenger from Bolton, Lancashire. His professional record consists of 19 wins, 2 defeats, 1 draw, 4 wins come by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Jack Quiet Storm Blackley.
Sorry about that.
159 pounds and 2 ounces for Jack Blackley. Now we welcome to the scale the defending champion from Stoke-on-Trent, Staffordshire. Undefeated with 15 wins, 6 of his 15 wins come by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending IBO International Middleweight Champion, Nathan the Hitman Heaney. £160 even for Nathan Heaney.
Really interesting fight, I think, this one, Rob. I know a lot of people who have money on Flatley as the underdog to win this fight. They think that he could do something here. Heaney, fans haven't arrived yet, but didn't hear any noise there when he got on the scales. But the support that he brings is unbelievable.
He always seems in such a good mood, doesn't he? I mean, he's
Yeah,
just,
lovely
he's
guy.
just made weight there and he's grinning like a Cheshire
Yeah,
cat.
good guy. And he can fight, but the support base, the fan base that he has is second to none.
Yeah, he always talks about that match at Stoke City's football stadium.
I can do something too, you know, I can spur you on. When the fight gets hard and you've got that sort of on your back, and these boys and girls, you know, willing you over the edge, that could be the difference between, you know, winning a fight and losing a fight sometimes.
Do you think you ever felt that? I mean, I think of the Windsor Park one in particular.
Yeah.
I think that was a fight you probably had under control wherever it would have been.
Yeah.
But did it motivate you?
Probably the Kiko Martinez first fight, the crowd definitely got me over the
Once
edge.
again, ladies and gentlemen,
That was a tough fight for me.
competing tomorrow night in a 10-round contest for the IBO International Middleweight Championship.
When you're Jack Flatley in that scenario and the crowd's against you,
Yeah.
what effect does that
Well, I suppose you could use that to your benefit, and when the crowd start to go silent, if you're nailing their man constantly, then that is almost like your round of applause, isn't it? So, I think Jack will be okay, but he'll not be fazed bad. Small trivial point I'd like to make. I always like to weigh in with trainers on. Obviously, I'm very short, so to get as much height as possible. But there would always be ways to weigh in with trainers on. Just to, you know, Nathan Eadie's about the same size as Flatley there, but not really, because Flatley had his trainers on. Impose your strength when your size, I think.
It's a good study in mind games there.
Oh, of course.
4 defeats, 2 draws, 1 win coming by way of knockout. Let's welcome to the scale, Jorgelina Jota Guanini. 124 pounds and 2 ounces for Jorgelina Guanini. Next to the scale, her opponent in this championship contest from High Wycombe, England, undefeated with 3 wins. 2 of her 3 wins come by way of knockout. Let's welcome to the scale, the Omen, Raven Chapman.
A lot of support in here for Raven Chapman as well.
And they're raving about her as well. The guys at Queensbury think she could do something, and she could be fast-tracked as well.
For Raven Chapman.
Both make weight comfortably there. Big opportunity this for Raven as
Yeah,
well.
of course.
Granini, former world champion. It's a huge step up.
Yeah, and so early on in her career as well. But massive platform to do it on. And if she wins the fight and looks good, it is important to look good in this fight as well. But Chapman, for me, just a wee point. I think it's the leanest I've seen her. I don't know what her weights have been before, but I think this has got to be the latest because she looks pretty lean here.
I know obviously the belts it's not the big one, but when you get your first one of those to take home,
Oh, it's
regardless
lovely.
of
It's
what it
nice
is,
to
still
have.
something.
It's a keepsake, isn't it? It's something you can stick on, you know, put on the mantelpiece or whatever, and tell your kids or your family, you know, I won this, and it's an achievement. It's always a bit nicer to fight for a belt.
Welterweight Championships. It's brought to you by Frank Warren on behalf of Queensbury in association with Boxer. Introducing to you first to the scale, the challenger from Stockwell, London, England. His professional record, 14 wins, just 1 defeat. 6 of his 14 wins come by way of knockout. Let's welcome Samuel, the true sensation, Antwi.
It's a great nickname.
Yeah, true sensation, I like that. Didn't know his nickname until just now, but he's in good nick, isn't he? He's in good shape.
And 9 ounces for Samuel Antwi. Now to the scale, the defending champion from Nottingham, undefeated with 17 wins. 7 of those wins come by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending British, Commonwealth, and IBF European welterweight champion, Echo the Engine Essuman.
I think he forgot he had to get on the scales there for a second.
146 pounds and 4 ounces for Echo Essuman.
Another fight that's been made possible. We were talking earlier about the
Yeah,
cross promotion and two
cross-platforms,
promoters come
yeah.
together.
And it's important that it keeps happening. I think this could be a very, very good fight. Essuman, the Engine, a very fit nickname. He's a fit guy. And a couple of titles on the line here, so important fight for both guys. Both in really good nick.
It's an opportunity where everyone wins as well, isn't it? With the cross promotional stuff. Because as a platform, it might not have had otherwise.
Yeah, no, of course. And yeah, it's a huge platform, and both guys are getting a chance. I suppose that being in that rival platforms, they probably never even thought their paths would cross at such an early stage anyway. So it's good to see it. Just on another point, no one weighed in with trainers there. Rookie mistake.
And will be for the IBO Super Featherweight Championship of the World. Brought to you by Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry in association with Dabella Entertainment. We will first welcome to the scale the challenger from Belfast, Northern Ireland. He brings a professional record consisting of 19 wins, just 1 defeat. 7 of his 19 wins come by way of knockout. Let's welcome the current British Super Featherweight Champion, Anthony the Apache Carpacci.
Carl Frampton's playing an amateur cameraman here.
Yeah, I'm
getting
just,
some extra angles.
Yeah, just for the story, you know what I mean? Keep the fans happy. Ando's in good nick.
129 pounds and 8 ounces for Anthony Carpacci.
You spoke to him. You
Yeah,
spoke to him
I
earlier,
did
didn't
speak
you?
to him briefly. He looks like he done the weight well. Anthony, you know, he's a skinny guy. He's a long, dangly, rangy operator, but he doesn't look too gaunt. I've seen him worse looking, so it's a good sign for him. I think that he's done everything correctly. By all accounts, sparring has been really good as well. But big fight, a big platform for him.
Michael Lone Wolf Maniesi. £129 for Michael Maniesi.
Michael Manier is his trainer there, shouting
it'll be
and still.
interesting to see how this goes on here. Anto Carpacci, clearly an Italian name, an Italian heritage as well, so a little bit of needle here as well, I think.
It will be for the IBO Super Featherweight Championship of the World.
Both guys in good shape.
He's forgotten his trainers though.
No trainers. Need to have a word with some of these boys.
Intense stare down this one. Bit of mind games here. Is he an intense guy, Carpacci?
Anto, very, very intense. When he wants to go, he can go, and when he does want to go, he's pretty frightening. The only thing is, and I think his dad will be not ashamed. The shame's not the right word, but I don't think Anto, although his dad is Italian-speaking man, born and raised in Italy, Anto doesn't really know how to speak it. So, with a great opportunity if he knew how to speak it for some Italian, bit of a slagging match, but didn't happen there.
I'm sure I'm sure he knows enough swear words to get him through the night.
Yeah, possibly, but that's just about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next two combatants to the scale competing tomorrow night in a scheduled 10-round contest. It will be for the WBO, WBC, IBF, and IBO Women's Featherweight Championships of the World. Brought to you by Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry in association with Most Valuable Promotions. We will first welcome to the scale, coming to us from Copenhagen, Denmark. She is undefeated with 11 wins. 3 of her 11 wins come by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the current IBF Women's Featherweight Champion of the World, Sarah Mahfoud. 124 pounds and 9 ounces for Sarah Mahfoud. And now we welcome to the scale her opponent tomorrow night, fighting out of Brooklyn, New York, USA, by way of Carolina, Puerto Rico. She has a professional record consisting of 42 wins, 2 defeats, 1 draw. 30 of her 42 wins come by way of knockout. Here is the current WBO, WBC, and IBO Women's Featherweight Champion of the World, Amanda "The Real Deal" Serrano. 124 pounds and 7 ounces for Amanda Serrano.
Very comfortable for Serrano. This is her preferred weight. This is the weight that she wants to fight at. It's funny coming in here that there is a certain amount of star power just seeing it there. It might be the many titles we can see, the many championships,
covered in titles and belts, but you know, it's a unification fight. It's on an undercard of another big fight. Serrano although she lost to Katie Taylor, what a fight that was, and still one of the top names in female boxing. Fantastic fighter, and what she's done over her career has been really, it's been mind-blowing, really, what she's done. Yeah, but a bit of star power there. She can really fight.
No flinching from Sarah Mahfoud there either. Great opportunity for them.
Yeah, do you know what? It's probably a privilege for a lot. It's a privilege for me to be seeing her up close and personal, and to be, I suppose, being a pundit on her fight, which I'm looking forward to. And just for the people of the UK to be able to see an all-time great performing.
I think it's some of these guys on the undercard as well. There's going to be such a global audience tuning in for that fight. There's guys that are going to get this entirely new audience they never thought they would have got.
You know, without sounding like the broken record, I've said it 3 or 4 times. You know, it's a huge shop window for a lot of these guys to look good, and winning's always important, but it's always important to look good as well.
All right, we're getting ready for the main event. Team Joyce is definitely in the room.
Yeah.
Team Parker walking in the room now, led by Andy Lee.
Andy could play a really important part in this fight. Really do think he's a fantastic coach, and his advice is going to be key. There'll be times where Parker will have to stand and fight. I imagine the game plan will be to move at the start, but there will be times where you have to stand and fight. It's about choosing the right time to do that.
He's a very calm coach as well, Anneli. I mean, don't get me wrong,
honestly,
terrifying, but a very calm
he
man.
is. Look, he's one of the nicest guys in the world, and he's from the old school, really. There's not many like him these days, and Andy's full of wisdom, and he's a bit of a teacher, and he's been around good people. Manny Stewart, obviously. Manny had a lot of time for him and spoke very highly of him, but Andy knows this game inside out, and I think he's a great addition to Joseph Parker's team.
Yeah, just locked eyes on Parker there. He certainly doesn't look stressed in the slightest. He's
he looks
dancing away.
relaxed. Really
An
relaxed.
important reminder to all participants, do not leave after the weigh-in. You have to attend the rules meeting following the weigh-in process. Again, all participants need to attend the rules meeting following the weigh-in process. Thank you.
Nice bit of admin there from Thomas Schreiber.
Yeah.
God, I bet those are fun. The rules meetings when you need
I never really went to too many of them. I went to the odd one, but they're a bit grim, to be honest. Sorting out the gloves, and really that's it. That's why a fighter goes to it, to pick his gloves. But they're not the most exciting things in the world. Sometimes actually there can be a wee bit of kicking off over gloves and what's happening with the gloves.
Joe Joyce there on screen at the moment. A nice, brilliant white tracksuit from the Joyce camp.
Yeah. Joe's in the building, looks calm as well. Looks in good shape. We haven't seen him with his top off yet, but I mean he looks solid as he always does.
I think he's someone, because he's such a quiet, softly spoken guy, when you see him up close and you realise how big he is, it's
big.
almost surprising. He's enormous.
And he's thick and he's heavy set, and he's just a big lump, big athlete, you know, a perfect athletic specimen who's extremely fit. And there's not a fitter heavyweight on the planet, and no one even close, I don't think.
When do you think Joyce will stop having doubters? Everyone always underestimates
Maybe after this fight, if he wins this fight and comes through it, that could be the time where they stop doubting him, because this is a tough fight for both guys. But it's Joyce's, although he's beaten Dubois, good fighter, but this is definitely his toughest date, and his toughest to date. And it'll all depend on how he comes through this one. Both guys, a bit of smiling going on here between them. Oh, Joe's dancing now.
Yeah, we got the makings of a dance-off here.
Yeah, don't know who wins that. We're on TV, he's Steve. Come on now, big man.
Carl Frampton, a very popular man in this room.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we are going to weigh in our main event participants. They will be competing in a scheduled 12-round contest, and it will be for the vacant WBO interim heavyweight championship of the world.
You look at the size of Salas, Joe Joyce's trainer. He actually takes him on the pads, and he wears the big boots and stuff, but it's got to be so much wear and tear on that guy's elbows, taking shots off Joe Joyce. Credit to him, he's not the youngest guy in the world either.
21 of his 30 wins come by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the former WBO heavyweight champion of the world, Joseph Parker. Joseph
255. So what was it?
255.4. So he's gone up. He's gone up
4 pounds.
4 pounds on from his last fight. He looks big.
Yeah, and he's up for it as well.
He is a former Olympic silver medalist And now
Coming in too late against someone like Joe Joyce is a mistake. He's a bull and he just throw you around and throw you around like a ragdoll. It's important to be strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the undefeated former British, Commonwealth, European, and WBO International Heavyweight Champion, Joe the Juggernaut Joyce. 271 pounds and 6 ounces for Joe Joyce.
Interesting, and there was a little bit more noise there for Parker than Joyce, the home fighter.
Parker's got a lot of Team Fury back there.
Yeah, I think he'll have a lot of support tomorrow night though as well. I think it's going to be pretty split in terms of the support. There'll be a lot of neutrals there as well, just expecting a good fight, which I think they'll get.
271.6 for Joe Joyce. Another 6 pounds from his last fight. They're both going for the kill. They're both going big.
So it indicates that both guys at some stage will know they're going to have to stand and have a fight and slug it out. I think that's what's going to happen, but no one knows. I still don't even know who's going to win this fight.
That's one of the best things about it is I just don't know what kind of fight it's going to be. We know what Joyce is going to do, but you have no idea.
A lot of people have an idea and they think, you know, Joyce is going to come forward and he'll wear Parker down. A lot of people are thinking this, but I think Parker's a bit more about him than that, and I think it's going to be a difficult fight for both guys.
This our main event tomorrow night, live on DT Sport Box Office. 12 rounds scheduled for the vacant WBO Interim Heavyweight Championship of the World.
Do we see a head going in, Rob, or what? I think there's too much respect between these two guys. Confident, but
there's a bit there. There's a bit of needle.
Little bit of needle. It's good to see.
I feel like Joe Joyce quite often he likes to play it down, doesn't he? He likes to play down the needle. Where Parker looks like he's just trying to escalate it a little. There we go. So Joe Joyce coming in at 271 pounds, 271.6 pounds, sorry, and Joseph Parker 255.4 pounds.
Both heavier in their last fight.
Both heavier. I think both very close, if not the heaviest they've been.
Yeah. Which I think indicates that these guys know it's going to be a tough fight and they're going to have to stand in the trenches at some point and rough it out. I think it suggests to me that Parker isn't going to move as much as some people would expect him to. Who knows? I don't really know what's going to happen here.
It's so, yeah, exactly that. Who knows? It's so rare to have something that I genuinely have no idea who's going to win.
I've changed my mind.
A true 50-50.
It's a 50-50. I've changed my mind many times, and at this point, a day out from the fight, I'm still unsure.
Do you think it's even possible to? You mentioned earlier